Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
Hey everyone, welcome to another video on the JayBee and Milly channel. Today we are back to doing our Smash or Pass reviews. So honestly, I kind of feel we got COVID or something a couple weeks ago, and so it threw us a little bit off schedule. We're 100% back on it now, with these to be released Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as we build up to the end of the new Scooby-Doo movies. So today we have for you Smash or Pass for the Exterminator.
Yeah.
So Scooby-Doo meets Don Adams. So JayBee, 100% going to throw you on the spot here. Plot summary?
Yeah, of course. So, Don Adams is currently working as an exterminator specializing in insects and I guess various types of pets that you'd expect, such as cockroaches, termites, and other such creepy crawlies. Now, Mystery Inc. run into Don Adams while on a tour of famous celebrity houses. I'm thinking back to when Bill Murray was introduced into the Zombieland franchise, if anyone gets that reference. Basically, they're in a very posh area. So Don Adams takes Mystery Inc. on his latest job to clean and exterminate all the pests in the house of a tired, washed, ratioed, fallen off, didn't ask horror actor whose butler gives off a bit of a spooky vibe. Shenanigans ensue while they're there, and, you know, is there something more to the horror actor? Why are they being elusive? And why is the butler kind of hesitant to present him to Mystery Inc. and, of course, Don Adams? Well, I guess we'll find out in this review.
Indeed we will, JayBee. One of the best plot summaries we've had. That's your new job. Congratulations.
Hey!
Okay, great. So like you said, getting into this a little bit more, the gang's driving past different stars' houses where they see Don Adams has broken down. So we're back on this common theme. It's the only way people meet in this universe, right? A car breaks down.
But here's the funny thing, and I think the timelines will line up decently. I theorise that Scooby, you know, I think it's Daphne or Velma says a lot of these movie stars were discovered washing cars or weighing tables. Is it waiting tables?
Waiting tables.
Not weighing tables. I mean, I guess that's going to be a legitimate,
put them on some scale.
a legitimate job somewhere.
Needs to go on the outside of the box, and then you have to decide if it's a two-men carry or what. So two people carry. Or one person.
Well,
carry.
if it's a two men to carry thing, I think one woman can handle it. So hey,
I agree based on me carrying that freezer on my own yesterday.
Hey, come on, no, because I was asleep. So, and Scooby instantly, upon hearing that, goes to wash up some cars. And it's kind of funny with Scooby being keen to be famous movie stars. It could be what inspired the Goes Hollywood movie. So that's kind of what I was thinking of.
But in and of itself, they are a very big star at this point. Like, few series in now, JayBee. Anyway, so the gang agree to take Don Adams, the Bugman, along with them as they go along the celebrities' houses, ultimately taking him to this really creepy house, as JayBee started to explain. Now,
do you want to give us some context? Let me just ask you one question, please. Prior to this episode, did you have any knowledge of Don Adams?
No. Did you?
Not at all. I did not. So I just wanted to establish that for people, just in case we're unfamiliar with something that happens later on and they're like, oh, everyone knows Don Adams was in season 5, episode 2 of Cheers back in the late 80s and he co-starred a long time. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a clue. Set people's headspaces.
So at this point, though, if like, I think we get one of my favourite, like, Daphne lines.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Ever. She turns around to Velma and says, if the movie was silent, why can't you be? I'm like, oh, if only you'd said that again 50 years later in, like, Curse of the 13th Ghost. We'd have had a better movie.
Just have Heaven North, the obviously, God bless Heaven North soul, you know, angel in heaven. But we just get the spirit of Heaven North just following Kate McCucci around the recording studio, just repeating it in her eardrum. I think that'd be good.
That being said, Kate McCucci's voice in the new movie. Congratulations.
And it'd be cool.
Best ever performance. Anyway, progressing on, like we say, it's a spooky house, creepy butler.
Creepy bloke.
Shaggy and Scooby start to see a series of ghouls and ghosts and stuff in the house, things moving in picture frames. And my one really big issue with this episode is we called it from the first 10 minutes. The guy, the actor is referred to as a man of 1,000 faces, and we see 3 villains in 2 minutes, and we're like, okay, guess what's happening here, everybody.
I guessed the villain very early on, but I didn't guess the twist. So I think I predicted that because I swear they've used this butler model like 8 times throughout the series, and I thought because the butler looked a bit Frankenstein-y, Frankenstein's monstery, a bit hulking, like Igor or something, that the washed, tired ratio had fallen off didn't ask horror actor would be revealed to be the butler, but no.
Kind of like the Don Knotts thing.
Yeah. But ultimately, we got the villain, like, spot on the first few minutes.
But I feel like that's the kind of biggest letdown of the episode is it was made so obvious. Do you know what I mean?
But at the same time, I'd rather that be obvious, but there's a hint about it, rather than some of the other episodes where it's just, oh, here's this person, I guess they worked for a local bank, and isn't it dastardly that they're doing this? And then that's kind of it.
We're coming on to an episode in a couple of episodes' time where there's 5 villains and they only unmask one of them.
I don't know, it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, so ultimately this is certainly the best way of doing it, but still, it was a bit easy. Anyway, it just leads to this kind of procession of fun, entertaining things happen. They have exterminator suits. There's nothing big of substance that happens other than just different villains popping up in different chases throughout the house.
Here's a funny thing though. I want to make a series, and you know we do like top 10s nowadays. I want to make like what if this episode was released with the 3 bonus episodes. You know, like because they've only started doing that relatively recently, so you know what I mean. But almost, I want to put this under the contender. Like, why wasn't this a bonus episode for the Courage the Cowardly Dog movie? I mean, maybe it was and I'm forgetting, but they're literally exterminators trying to get rid of bugs, and there's cicadas, which are like the main villains of the Courage movie, and also they dress up as exterminators. I think it would be interesting. It's also taking me back to the Lego movie, you know, Haunted Hollywood, when the villains like dressing up as all the different Universal monsters. So it's cool to see where these ideas start.
For me, I think the biggest parallel is Don Knotts. Just because they did this thing of 1,000 different characters and just flipping between them.
You know, Don seems like a very popular baby name for the 70s minus 60, the 10s. Because Don Adams, Don Knotts, Don Messick, and I've never met a Don. What is a Don short for? Dominic? No, Dominic? Don. Donald?
Yeah.
Donatello? I don't know, just an interesting observation. But I do see the parallels with Don Knotts. I mean, in England, a Don is a guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Donny.
A Don or a Donny, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, we are getting very sidetracked here. Ultimately, like I say, for me, there's just this procession of things happening until we see the butler and the actor down in the basement. They're trying to film their scene. Ultimately, the actor's goal is to have finished his movie before the house has to be sold because, as JB said, he's kind of had his time. He's a bit of a has-been, unfortunately, at this point. And he just wants to, and that's why they were trying to delay the extermination so that ultimately they could at least finish this movie. And so you hear the butler shouting for more emotion, and ultimately you get this guy going, oh, you know, the man of 1,000 faces, and then he gets unmasked 3 times. And one of the ones where there's 0 consequence, because the gang say, well, we can help you finish the movie before the end of tonight.
Yeah. It's almost fortuitous now, because I swear Frank Welker now is known as the man of 1,000 voices.
That's kind of fun.
So I think that's him anyway. It could be, you know, like Dawes Butler or someone. But I mean, let me know if you guys are like fanatics on voice actors. Please let us know who is known as the man of 1,000 voices, because I swear it's Frank Welker. I might be wrong.
Honestly, I'd say there's probably a couple known as that in different circles.
I mean, I think nowadays it's almost if they've lost its grandeur a bit with them being so public and stuff, which is a good thing. But there's so many people like Bob Bergen, David Kay, like they could all be men of 1,000 voices. But yeah, I mean, ultimately it's not a dastardly plot. This is more of one where it's like it's almost circumstantial, right? It's just coincidental, but it makes for a fun mystery, and I guess that's naturally leading us on to verdicts, right? Or is there anything else that you want to kind
we're
of...
starting off with you here for the verdicts, JayBee. I mean, for you, is this one a smash or a pass?
So, we've already mentioned, this episode does absolutely nothing to break the mold. It doesn't do anything bold or brave, but it does exactly what I think it needs to do. It tells us a fun, low-stakes story that doesn't bore you. It doesn't really do much to... Well, it doesn't offend anyone. It's just there. Like,
I don't know. I think Velma got pretty offended in this episode when Daphne said, "Why can't you be silent?"
I mean, if it's a if this was a movie, I'd be saying, right, for what's meant to be semi-cinematic, the end goal, and I think this is a criticism that I have of Trick or Treat in a way, it doesn't really have the villain stakes, so it's just they're doing stuff for a good reason, or, you know what I mean, it doesn't seem like anyone's in any real jeopardy, but again, I don't think this needed to. It's just fine, and it's a good time, so I'm gonna smash this one. Definitely I want to watch this again. I almost wish that it, again, like I say, it was on the Courage DVD, because this seems like the perfect episode that I would rather go straight from Courage to watch this, or boot up Courage to watch this, as opposed to, and this is me being lazy, just going through cumbersome DVDs and stuff. But yeah, this is a smash from me. So, Millie, would you smash or pass The Exterminator?
I would agree with you that this ultimately is just a really fun episode. And for me, in this series, we've not had tons of fun episodes. Certainly, I think I can say this as we're coming towards the end of the kind of the new movies era. I've not particularly enjoyed them all. I'd say over 50% of them I haven't enjoyed. And this, maybe I'm saying it's a smash because I have less positivity for this series, so it kind of is a lower threshold. I certainly won't say it's the strongest of smashes, but I certainly think in the parameters of this series, I've never laughed so early in an episode. Like, genuinely, Daphne saying to Velma, "It's a silent movie, why can't you be?" Just because of, unfortunately, you know, the way Velma's character is portrayed a lot, it's neither one of our favourites. And so for Daphne to kind of say that, I just found it hilarious. And I realised that, you know, it's not the most positive behaviour, but still, it was just...
I mean, you can laugh at it guilt-free, right? Like, I'm not a social justice warrior, but I'm hesitant to laugh at Fred's comment about women just going on and on and on at the start of this series. But this is just fun, right? There's no punching down, it's just fun.
Fred's the most controversial character in this, because I remember you saying as well in the episode, he said, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's just the butler." And you're a bit like, "Oh, you okay there, Fred?"
Yeah, like, come on, it's a noble profession. And you know what? Maybe this is different. I think in England, at least, and you're going to make fun of me because you think I'm a Tory.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be good.
I do believe to be a proper established, as in, like, aristocratic butler, there is an actual school for it. I do think there is a school.
What was it you called the very nice people that helped out in your parents' house?
No, I was just I referred to them as the people, but as a collective, as in I'm going outside. Oh look, there's the people. Like there's people on this that live on this street. Don't take this out of context because literally, like, what am I meant to name them individually? Like I wouldn't name. Like, if I went to your family reunion, I couldn't name them individually. I'd be, oh, yeah, that lot. Yeah? So...
that was just the people.
I would say that. So let's not read into that.
Okay, anyway. Unanimous smash for this episode.
You actually... Oh, well, yeah. So, unanimous smash. And here's the thing. With this episode, and like you were saying, we can start to do some type of wrapping up. Here's the thing. I was going to pull out, but if it wasn't for the fact that we watched 2 episodes ahead and we are literally nearly done now, I would have said the issue with this is that it has higher highs, like the higher highs than Where Are You, but also lower lows. But now I'm thinking it's just very middle of the road. It's got good highs and bad lows, but not really anything phenomenal or egregious. It's just a middle series for me so far. but I am excited for the one we haven't seen, Dick Van Dyke, but that's skipping ahead. So, in terms of community news, I guess I can shout out the fact that this is going out Monday, right?
Yeah, it's going out today.
So, we have recently released an interview with the writer of When You Wish Upon a Star, which was the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo episode, Jeff Holder. You can watch that. That has recently gone out on the channel. It's an amazing interview. It's one of my absolute favourites of all time. If you're a purist watching this and you kind of don't like our takes a lot of the time, listen to Jeff Holder, because I think it's fair to say that he was very much on the purist spectrum of things. And so for us, it was just interesting to hear that other perspective. And he was also really generous with his time. So I know we kind of get a few complaints when the interviews are 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, which I don't like, considering the fact that I do think we upload like 4 times more than a lot of the other shows, but I do take the criticism in its stride.
What are your videos a day, JayBee?
This is like a 50 minute, maybe even an hour long episode. So listen to that Jeff Holder interview. We were also recently interviewed ourselves on the Station Square podcast hosted by Robert Jackson. I was really nervous to go on it, but he was a really great host, and we had a good time on that, didn't we? We recorded it bonfire night, but
yeah, it was a great time.
So I'll leave it. I'll just leave a link to both of them in the description. Make sure to watch them both, and if you do listen to the Station Square podcast, do make sure to subscribe to them and comment down below how amazing we are and how we're the best guest that he's ever had on the show.
JayBee.
But yeah,
Subscribe.
like, comment, and subscribe.
JayBee and Milly.
And we'll see you in 2 days' time for the Weird Winds of Winona.